Last week, I put out a video talking about the guy on the right, Andrew Gillum, and how he came out of nowhere. Fourth place in the Democratic primary in Florida and ended up crushing the front runner. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the guy on the left appears. I'm telling you this right now. This guy on the right, he's going to crush DeSantis here in Florida. And they're going to put him up against Donald Trump in 2020. I'm calling it right here. I'm calling it right now. I'll leave this video up, whether it stays monetized or not. And you can hold me to it. I'm telling you right now, this guy has got all the right people backing him. Now, let me make this very clear. When I look at DeSantis' platform and the things that he says he wants to do, I agree with a lot more of what DeSantis wants to do than the guy on the right. But I'm also present in the real world, and I understand reality, that this will be the first opportunity that the left has had to really stick it to the current administration. And if they can take Florida, White House South, they can take that away from Mr. Trump, they will put every dime they can into doing it. And it was a fairly close race during the election, and that's when it was Hillary Clinton. You take a guy like this, the new Obama 2.0, and put him up, it won't even be close. He was in fourth, and I'll say this again, he was in fourth place in the Democrat primary. And they're already starting to talk about this. And I don't think it's lost at all on his competition, because this just got announced today. That DeSantis now thinks that he's not even going to have the ability to do his job that the people of Florida sent him to Congress to do. That's how worried he is. And he has a giant uphill climb to deal with this guy. Because, like I said, the guy has Steyer, he has Soros, he has Bernie Sanders, he has the black vote, he has pretty much all of Hollywood backing him. And I tell you what, if the former president gets on the train and mentions his name, it's over. Money will be running behind this guy like nobody's business to take Florida, first black governor of Florida, take this state away from the current administration. It'll be their shot across the bow. And like I said, this isn't something where I'm going to even get into this, because DeSantis is from this region of Florida, northeast Florida. He was living up in Ponte Vedra, which is just north of St. Augustine. It's a very wealthy, affluent golfing community. It's right outside of TPC Sawgrass, the Players Championship. And he left there, and he lives down in Palm Coast, which is just south of St. Augustine. It's kind of more of a sleepy retirement place. It's got some nice beaches, but it's almost just full of retired people. It's just, there's really very, very little to do there in Palm Coast, Florida. It's nice, it's clean, great beaches, but just not much to do. So the problem is this, is that DeSantis is working from a very limited group of people. And he is 100%, the clone of the current administrator. But I wanted to show you guys this article. This was from before the primary. This article is dated 22 August, and the primary was 28 August. And this is NBC. This is NBC 7 out of Tallahassee, WJHG. Tallahassee, Florida. Democratic gubernatorial candidate and Tallahassee mayor Andrew Gillum has trailed in third place, well, here he's third, since the start of the race, but a new poll suggests that he may have a chance. The Democratic lineup for governor seems split into two categories, Gwen Graham and Philip Levine, competing for first and second. Jeff Green, Andrew Gillum, and Chris King battling it out for third. And Gillum ended up not getting second, but he won first, and he won first by quite a few points. He came out of nowhere. Does this ring a bell? Anybody remember 2008 where the presumptive candidate was a certain woman we're all familiar with? And then all of a sudden she had to step out of the way? And that guy won that election, and he won the next election, and crushed both of those guys, Romney and McCain, to middle of the road-ish kind of rhinos. So this is what's going on in Florida right now, and it's big. It's going to be the biggest untold story of the midterms. I don't think, like I said, it's any accident this guy just all of a sudden decided to start running his yap and start talking about everything that happened. He went real silent after the election. Everybody remembers that. He just disappeared. And now he's back. And I think this guy on the right has everything to do with it. And like I said, I'll say it again. A lot of, and this is where people get confused about the Florida Maquis and about South America. The people in South America, you would think, would love the guy on the left. They hate him. They absolutely, he was the one that put the sanctions on Venezuela. So like I said, when I say that they have a different version of the left and the right down there, you can see it. They absolutely loathe the guy on the left. They're not a giant fan of the guy on the right up here either, but it's just a different belief system that puts people into different categories than what we're used to up here. Now, as we get out of the video, I just wanted to talk about this Florida Maquis Patreon channel. It is the day before 9/11, the greatest psychological operation ever run in the history of psychological operations. We are in the second iteration, the second evolution of training now. The basics have been covered, the foundations have been laid, and now we are going to move away from the tactics and techniques, and we are going to start to focus on the tools. Our government has a tool that it uses every single day that everybody knows about, a tool that has the ability to reach into everybody's lives and conduct psychological operation on a moment's notice. And of course, we're talking about the IRS. And we're going to begin covering, today being Monday, is Maquis Masters Monday. It's going to be top level. Everybody has gotten, from the first iteration of training, has gotten field promotions up to the next level by virtue of dropping all of the prices down. So we're going to begin talking about the psychological, the fear-based psychological operations that are run by this basically American terrorist organization that is armed, as well as many militaries have been in the past, that uses fear and wealth, or the lack of it, poverty, against its own people to keep them in a fear state. There was another 9/11, and we'll talk about this at some point in the future, in South America. 9/11, 1973, of course, Augusto Pinochet took power in a coup, U.S.-backed coup, that deposed a man named Salvador Allende. Salvador Allende, of course, was not a perfect candidate by far, but he was democratically elected. And Augusto Pinochet, the name, has been associated with terror, fear, corruption. His crimes are manifest. He died some years ago, and so we're not going to go into a long study of all of the problems that happened under Augusto Pinochet, but it is an interesting study to see how even 45 years later the same arguments and the same discussions are being had. and how the U.S. has had the opportunity, and this is what I think a lot of people don't get about me, the Florida Maquis. We have had the opportunity in our hemisphere to go to places like South America and Central America and make the case for why our way of life is the best choice. Why freedom, why liberty is and should be the goal of all mankind. Unfortunately, we have dropped that ball by allowing big business to take the lead down there, because there are people in this country that believe that the greatest expression of American exceptionalism is the wealth of big oil, of big pharma, of big agriculture, which has gone down there and literally put the exact opposite face on it. And this has been our greatest feeling, I do believe. And if there is an infiltration of our enemies in this hemisphere, it is because of that. It isn't big business that makes America great. It's the people of America. It's literally the same belief system these people have. It's just under a different name. But we will leave it there. Thank you very much for the support. I appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe. And I will see my students very shortly at the Florida Maquis, the Key Masters Monday Patreon channel. Thank you.